I am a champion. I am a warrior. So who are you to tell me that I cannot make? Who are you to tell me that I am not the greatest thing that God ever created?
Good morning, Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique. You're listening to Hard Talk Grenada. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on the various radio stations, 97.5 CitysoundFM, 89.5 CRFM, 91.9 and 91.5 RealFM Radio, 92.9 Sister Round Radio broadcasting from Hillsborough, Carriacou, and 94.9 We Noise Radio out there in Brooklyn, New York. A very special good morning to those of you joining us on the live video stream, whether it's on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, wherever you may be. A very special good morning to you. It is a beautiful Monday morning in the Spice Isle of Grenada, and of course we are happy to be alive. I know everybody was excited, some concerned on Sunday, yesterday morning, when we got up to the realization that we had a lash fall throughout the night period. But of course, we are still in a better position than our neighboring islands of Barbados and the St. Vincent, who are really struggling, St. Vincent mostly, with the ash fall. And with me in studio this morning, I thought it absolutely necessary for us to have this conversation. I have Miss Oslin Crosby from NADMA. Good morning, Oslin.
Good morning, Ms. Duncan, and good morning to all your listeners, viewers, those in the diaspora, those here at home. Thank you so much for having me this morning.
Absolutely. You know, I know you anticipated my call when you when you realized what happened on Sunday, and we were like, okay, well, you know, people are frantic, and we know how we get as Grenadians when something happens unexpectedly. We get a little excited, sometimes a little too overly excited. But it's always good when we can bring the facts to people, get people to understand what is happening in the time that it is happening, and what they should do, you know. So we want to talk volcanic activity. We want to talk Grenada's response. We want to talk what we as a country have to look for, even though we are not directly in the path of the ash plumes, but we are going to get some suppositories from that. So we do want to speak a little bit about what is going on. But first of all, we know that NADMA has a representative in St. Vincent currently. Is he still there, Mr. McIntyre?
Mr. McIntyre, yes. Mr. McIntyre is on assignment from, actually it's a request all the way from SEDIMA. Mm-hmm. You know that is our regional parent body. Right. And the request was made for Mr. McIntyre to go over and assist with coordination and training. Mm-hmm. So he continues to work over there. Maybe one morning we can see how we can get him to facilitate an update as to what's happening on the ground with you. He has been in constant contact with us. So yes, keeping us apprised as to what's happening on the ground. As we know, we are one of St. Vincent's closest neighbors. Right. And we continue to mount our relief response to ensure that we answer the call, knowing their time of need, as they would have done the same for us many years ago.
Many years ago, of course. So let's talk about what happened yesterday, that occurrence that has everybody so uneasy, on edge, wondering if we are in the path of receiving any of the ash plumes or to the extent of any of the other islands. Let's talk a little bit about that and talk, of course, about NADMA's response to it.
So, Ms. Duncan, this morning, the first disclaimer in this is that I am not the technical expert on this. So I would be referencing to a document that, and continuous advisories, volcanic ash advisories, that have been published by the Met Office, which is our technical experts here on the ash getting to Grenada, when it gets here, how it would affect us, that kind of thing. So I am not speaking from as a technical expert here, but rather as a conduit sharing information that is passed to us. Yesterday, we issued just around after 11 yesterday morning. No, not after, just before 10 at 9:53. Yesterday morning, we issued the volcanic ash advisory since the night before. I started getting calls from Carriacou. I have a cousin that's an officer up there letting me know that they're observing ash on vehicles on the sister isle. So when we get that information, what I would do is I must confirm with my technical experts at Met. at that time, we did not get any confirmation that that's what is happening. But of course, we know that with nature, nothing is in a straight line. It's a very dynamic. It is a very dynamic sphere in which we live. So we have to expect that things would sometimes go against what is said. All right. So initially, we said on Saturday that it was not within our line, yes, when we spoke to it according to the information that we and the models, which of course they are guided by. On Sunday morning, though, when we got the update, many people there were several reports of depositories and Carriacou. We got from St. Mark, we got from St. John, we got island-wide vehicles all over with depositories, ash-like looking depositories in the verandas and the vehicles. The vehicles were most evident because, of course, depending on the color, you can see it all so very well.
Right.
So what I would have done was to send out just some information on the health implications of volcanic eruptions and ash and so on, what we should be doing. Because even before we would have gotten to that point, we knew that it will become a concern. And as Dr. Robertson, the geologist, the Vincentian geologist attached to USRC, would have said last night that I was listening to him in a clip, is that one island having a volcanic eruption does not mean that the other islands would not be affected. We're a chain of islands. We are very close. And we all live within that space where the wind is a contributing factor as to the distribution of the ash. Yes, so we will all be affected. Some, though, will be more affected than others.
Yes.
As he was identifying, Barbados has no volcanoes. Barbados is made of limestone. They're not even a volcanic island.
Right.
But they are suffering a similar fate.
Yeah.
To that of St. Vincent, and it has to do with the direction of the wind. Grantley Adams Airport looks like as St. Vincent does.
Yes.
You're looking at people sharing their stories on the various social media platforms on how many ash they have on their roof and in their gutters.
Yep.
And of course, we know what happens when the ash is mixed with water. It solidifies. It's similar to that of cement. So we will all be affected, and at some point in Grenada, we have started to be affected. We started to be affected yesterday. We would have gotten minute, according to the advisory, the ash advisory, the volcanic ash advisory that was issued by Met. While yes, we do have, they have observations of the Saharan air, the Saharan dust air layer shows that there is a fair amount of the Saharan dust in and around the Lesser Antilles, which includes Grenada. In addition, model guidance was showing them that the surface dust concentration indicates that a significant concentration of dust is expected to persist for the next day, and that was issued yesterday. So today we would expect to see dust still on our vehicles for the next day or two. So today and again possibly by tomorrow. Right? But then it was also very specific, and that was the interesting thing about this ash advisory. It was very specific. It spoke to the volcanic eruption, it spoke to the Saharan dust, and it also explained what is happening with volcanic ash.
Right.
The Met Office said that they received several reports, as we would have done also, because we had to report that to our technical experts at Met. And what they were saying is that while the forecast is for the ash to move off to the east and northeast of St. Vincent, so that's up the St. Lucia and Barbados side, it is possible for minute particles to spread southward and deposit over Grenada, and that is what would have happened yesterday. So while, yes, we have seen depositories of the ash on our vehicles and our verandas, and so we know that it is not as much as we would have seen from evidence coming out of Barbados and even St. Lucia and St. Vincent, where the actual threat is.
Right.
So we were anticipating it. The information, and that's the reason why yesterday morning, just about after 7, about 7:45, 7:44, we shared a set of information that SEDIMA would have created on the health implications of volcanic eruptions. Mm-hmm. We know that the main concern here will be that of respiratory, people who have respiratory challenges, even those who may be suffering with COVID. It is a respiratory condition that you may have challenges. And what are some of the things that you can do to ensure that you remain safe? And one of the key things in speaking to a medical doctor yesterday is that of wearing the mask. What we can say is the plus here is that the protocol still exists in that of COVID-19, in that of mask wearing. So what we ask is that you know that you have a challenge, respiratory challenge, that you take in front. And as old people say, you don't have good foot, you take it in front. Start to walk first. Yeah. So wear your mask, ensure that you have your supplies. Yes, ensure that you have adequate supply when your medication. Also, I see advisories on wearing long sleeve clothes so to protect your skin, and also that you stay indoors. The people who have those challenges, that you stay indoors. It's the same advice. It is similar to that of the precautions that were given when we had the Saharan dust alert earlier on this year, when we would have issued that this a little flyer we would have created and shared it on our Facebook page and through our WhatsApp platforms, letting people know that this is what's happening. And we always remind you that yes, we know that we are the agency responsible, and we would always try to ensure that we get information out there. But as it relates to one's safety, it is still an individual's responsibility.
Right.
You know that you are someone who have that challenge, then of course it is one of the things that you should anticipate, that I will be affected. You know that you have allergies. You may be a parent that have children that have allergies. Whenever the flu season comes around, as parents, we know that we need to start stocking up on our medication. We know that we might just need to start pulling in on the bush. We might need to call our parents and remind them of what are the things that we need to do. Right. So what we are encouraging you to do is to do the same. Yes, let us be reminded of what our responsibilities are. And remember, key here in everything that happens, every single thing that happens, in disaster management, we would share the information. We would tell you what you should and shouldn't do. But at the end of the day, that old adage comes into play again. We can take the horse to the well. But if you don't want to drink, you will never drink. But preparation is key. From the time the volcano started erupting, then we at NADMA would have started identifying, together with SEDIMA, what are some of the implications.
Right.
Health is always one, would always be one. Health is widespread in this case because we are still living in the time of a pandemic. And that's the reason why, from the time it became evident on Friday morning that since Thursday night when we sent out the release saying that we had to convene an emergency NEAC meeting, it was to address all the sectors, all the things that will be affected, everything, and also to start the process on how we would respond, how we would assist St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And this is what our focus is on now, ensuring that our people are safe, one, and two, that we can assist our brothers and sisters in St. Vincent and the Grenadines now in their time of need.
All right. Now, persons yesterday were looking for a more of an official release, I guess stamped with the NADMA name or logo on it, that indicated what they should do next in terms of this, something that is fairly new to us. We've never really experienced it. I guess persons were frightened considering what is happening in neighboring islands, Barbados and neighboring island St. Vincent, and seeing what is happening there and not knowing really what to expect or the gravity of the ash that we were going to expect. They were looking for more of an official statement from NADMA. Could you take us through the process of, in instances like this, when something so unexpected occurs, what would be the procedure taken by NADMA before we even get to the point of informing the public?
For one, verification is key. So we cannot just share the information and not verify it, because as I would have given in my disclaimer initially, I'm a conduit, not an expert in the fields or the areas where we have to share information. So when we do collect, so when we share information, right? For example, yesterday morning, as we received the ash advisory from the Met Office, we share it. Met is a part of NADMA. Who is NADMA? And that is something that I always try to share with the general public. Who is NADMA? NADMA is all our experts, technical experts, and of course, our essential service providers in Grenada. All. And that's the reason why yesterday, after we issued the ash advisory from Met, just as we would have received it from them, because we can do so. They are the technical experts in that area. Then NAWASA would have issued another statement on the quality of water, because people then started to become a little bit worried as to, because we know that St. Vincent's water quality now is compromised because of the ash.
Right.
They have an erupting volcano. The amount of ash in their space would have definitely contaminated their water. There is no water. The CRFM in St. Vincent would have cut off the water supply. They also lost power at some point yesterday. And you would have that to preserve the system. Because if you already have your source contaminated, because St. Vincent has a similar surface water catchment system as we do here in Grenada, where you collect waters from your rivers. The mountain, this is your source. The volcano is erupting. There's a lot of ash all over. So it means that your water supply is contaminated. So you would have shut off your source supply. So it means that you're working basically with your reservoir, which is where your waters are treated and you get to send it through your network.
Right.
If you continue to take from your source, it means that you'll be sending contaminated water through your system, which will be contaminating the whole of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Noting this, it meant that the CSWA emergency plan is now activated. So you cut off from your source and all you have is your reservoir. What does this mean? It means that your supply will be depleting very quickly and there's no way for you to be able to get back to replenish that supply. So when we started that drive for water, it was on that basis. And I know that, yes, people will be concerned, thinking now that since we start getting ash, that now it means that our water supply, which is of a similar system to St. Vincent, will then also be contaminated. But the most instructive word in the ash advisory that was issued by Met, minute particles. And the dust that we have is a fair amount. Yes, the Saharan dust is an annual occurrence. Yes, we always have this. If we did not have the volcano happening now, then to us it would have just been the dust. But we know we also have that additional hazard. So we know we continue to work in a even more multi-hazardous environment, re-disaster management. So we have COVID on, we have the ash, we have the Saharan dust. So it means, therefore, that we have to prepare ourselves. And that was the reason why when we sent out the ash advisory for Met, which is quite fine, because Met is also a part of NADMA. This was issued to us, and they are the experts. Then NAWASA come and speak to the quality of water, assuring the public, because there were messages going around telling people, don't drink water from the pipe, drink only bottled water. And that is not the case. So NAWASA is also a part of NADMA. They are an essential service provider. They are a statutory body. Just as Grenlec, if there's something related to fire, when we have issues with lightning, who do we work with? We work along with Grenlec. So this is what it means. That is the chain of command. That is how you would see information coming through. And then health later on would have issued a number of flyers speaking to some of the things that you need to do to ensure that you remain safe. Because with the dust and the ash in the air, it therefore means that our people with respiratory challenges, that they will have additional challenge, and we have to ensure that our people are safe. So that's the reason why when you see something from health, you see something from NAWASA, and you see NADMA sends something out from Met, all the agencies that we have just identified are a part of the NADMA structure. So not seeing a NADMA logo at the top of it does not mean that it is authentic. It was disseminated by the National Disaster Management Agency. And all these agencies, these essential service providers, are a part of the NADMA structure. And everybody have to play their part in this. And that is the reason why NADMA, as we continue to identify as, we are a coordinating unit. We are very, very big. If there is an accident and the police respond, the police is a part of NADMA. And that is when we speak of the National Emergency Advisory Council, which is NEAC. That is the composition of NEAC. So when we convened that meeting, I remember at last week's meeting, we had the Prime Minister there. Anytime, anything that involves disasters, it means that our national security is then under threat. Who is our national security minister? It is always our Prime Minister. The Prime Minister was at last week's NEAC meeting. We had a number of ministers at the NEAC meeting. They form part of that construct because remember, the Advisory Council is the body that makes recommendations on decisions that are made by the Cabinet. Yes? When we are in a situation like that and decisions have to be made one time, once the Prime Minister is there, it means that recommendations are then enacted and we can then move from recommendations to actions in a shorter space of time. So this is what's happening. And with everything that has been happening in St. Vincent, everything evolving and moving so quickly, it meant that we have to move. We had to move quickly. And at the end of the day, every sector as part of this construct had to play their role. And that is what you would have seen on Sunday. So to the people who are worried about not seeing an official release, remember, information can be shared through several mediums, and now we have a lot of them. We have We have the social media platforms, and that's the reason why we encourage people to go onto our Facebook page, where once I share via WhatsApp, I would share there. Right. If you want to be a part of our WhatsApp broadcast groups, please feel free to send me your information. You can send it to Ms. Duncan here at HARDTALK, and she will get it to me. I will add you to the group. You will get everything that is coming from NADMA that is disaster related. But I must address this before we wrap up or move on, that of misinformation. There was a message going around yesterday, and we have had to be doing this since Friday. Please, let us not call wolf, because that is not a good wolf to call. Wolves by themselves are very dangerous animals. Yeah. And there is no way that we would want to have Kikem Jenny starting now. Oh, yeah. And on Friday, the UESRC department would have picked up on it and sent us just an information piece that all the volcanoes in the region are not connected. They are not connected, right? So there is Lasofren now erupted in St. Vincent. That in no way means that Kikem Jenny is going to start. That in no way means that Mount St. Catherine will also start, because we know we have active volcanoes on island. We are also volcanic. Please, let us allay that fear. We don't need that panic buttons going off here now in Grenada. Yes. What we need to do is try to stay safe. We know that people with respiratory concerns, that it's already a very compromised space for them. So let us see how we can share that information on how we can keep our people who are already compromised safe, but not setting off the panic buttons. At this time, we need to help St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We need to better coordinate what we do. We need items. We have a dire need for water now in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Yesterday, we had to call on you on short notice, and I say thank you so much for that. One of the ferries from Canawan came down with some visitors that had to leave. It was like an in-transit sort of movement, and it came down and at short notice, and the response was just as usual. Grenadans, we are always very hospitable. We always try to reach out. And this reminds me so much of 2017 when we had to mount that response to Dominica. And we saw that again yesterday. Right. So what we have done now, there's a call out for water, a lot of water. We need to get water to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And we continue to do that. We ask that you please donate. We did not share when we launched the call on Saturday. We did not share where you can drop off and when you can do so, because we were working out the arrangements, the logistics behind it. But what I can tell you now is that you can start sharing, you can start dropping off your water and other supplies, because we had a number of other items that we had on that in that release that St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the people, especially those in shelters and other citizens of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, need now. So you can donate those. You'll be able to drop them off from tomorrow morning, anytime after 8 o'clock, down at the SSU camp, which is where our warehouse is at now, down at Point Salines. So you wouldn't meet a police officer because you're entering a military base. So it's a secure facility. So you will meet a police officer at the front, but once you indicate what you're here to do, then you drop it off. The warehouse is not far from the gate. You drop off your items there. There will be someone at the warehouse. Mr. Maxwell will be there to receive. And we are working along with a shipping agent to ensure that we can safely get those supplies to St. Vincent. We have already sent up some yesterday. Again, a heartfelt thank you, a big thank you to all who would have answered the call on short notice. We were able to put some supplies on the boat. The response is always incredible from our people, and we want to say a big thank you. But we ask now, and a lot of people have been calling, trying to ensure that they can contribute, and we appreciate this. Please call. We are at the office, 440-8390-8391-8392. You can also call us on the cell phones 533-0766 or 405. Mr. Peter's number on 405-5046, where you would find us at any time, and we can tell you what you can do to ensure that we get the items that the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines need now, to ensure that they can. I mean, we know that as it relates to normalcy, that is beyond us, because this is nature. at its best, and we have to allow it to run its course. What we can do, though, is ensure that the citizens of St. Vincent and the Grenadines are comfortable, that they have food, that they have some place to rest, that they have linen, the things that were requested, the cots and so, to make themselves as comfortable as possible, and that when nature do allow, that they can then settle back down to something as close as possible to normal.
Now, I know you're very busy and I know you have to run, but of course, I just quickly want to touch on evacuees. And I think it's a very important topic because persons are becoming overly concerned with the fact that we are, of course, remembering we're in a COVID environment still, and prior to the explosive eruption of Lassifere, St. Vincent was going through community spread. Now they're calling on islands of the region to house some of the nationals who have been displaced by the eruption of the volcano. Grenada has extended its hand in doing so, but persons, of course, are concerned, and rightfully so, about the procedure that is going to take place on receiving those evacuees, how these evacuees would then be quarantined and then integrate into society. Because, of course, when they come in and they stay in those shelters, we don't expect them to just stay in those shelters until whatever happens in St. Vincent's subsides. So they would be integrated into society. They'd want to move about. And, of course, we have to inform our people, to sensitize our people on that, but also to ask them to be, I want to use the correct word, to be considerate to these people's feelings. There are some people out there who would try to label or try to, and we've seen it, especially with where it relates to COVID-19 and persons wanting to stay away from certain people because they feel that, so we want to speak to that and make sure that we deal with that sufficiently so persons aren't too concerned when it comes to that, to know that NADMA and that government of Grenada has this under control.
Right. So as explained in the press conference last Friday, when Senator Garwe and the other sectors held that very important one when we spoke to our national response, what we will be doing to assist St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I remember Dr. Sean Charles, and that is an important part of our response here, and that's the reason why it is so. A lot of people I know have been calling as to how they can get their family. They have some family members or so that would want to bring down to Grenada, and that is not something that can just happen like that. It has to be a request from NEMO, as we would need to get the information as to who's coming. Because we have to be able to receive them here.
Right.
And that is that the COVID protocols will be enforced in every sense of the word. There is no way that we cannot go back on the gains that are already made, because we have to ensure that we continue to keep our borders safe. We are still well within a pandemic, and we are mindful of this. It was the part that formed the biggest part of the conversation in the NEAC meetings that were held. And I know you see in the press conference, in the statements that were released by government, the importance of ensuring that our protocols are adhered to. Very, very critical in us being able to receive evacuees from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So when that is happening, it will be a collaborative initiative between NEMO in St. Vincent and, of course, NADMA here in Grenada, because whenever that happens, it means that all systems will be a go as it relates to screening, quarantining, testing before you get to integrate. In addition to that, shelters. We know that schools have reopened today. Some of our schools are our shelters. All that would have formed part of the discussions that held on, that would have went on in NEAC. But we know that the fact that it is not a hurricane, our shelters are not just hurricane shelters, but emergency shelters. But we know that there are other options other than the schools that we can use if we have to house people who may not have family per se in Grenada, that we'll be able to accommodate them, that we can house them and do so safely, and ensuring that Grenada continue to be, as we continue to boast, COVID management continues to stay under. That we continue to keep it like that.
All right. Someone on the live video is asking, who is your best coordinator in the New York City tri-state area?
We have not identified that as yet. We are still working out the logistics on getting stuff from the U.S., from England, but the fact that we have consulates and so more than likely, that is what we will be doing, working through Foreign Affairs, being the coordinating unit that we are. That is what we will allow to happen. The existing framework, that we just tap into it and not try to rewrite any wills, because we would have done it in the past where our consulates and so would have gotten involved, coordinate the collection and then ship to Grenada, and then we send them off. I remember we'd have done that in Dominica when we did that for Dominica in 2017. So more than likely we will be going a similar route as we would have tested it, and it has worked. And working also along with other representatives here in Grenada, I was a part of the NADMA network to ensure that we can do so.
Okay, I just want to open the lines just in case somebody has a call or a question that I didn't get to ask you. I know you have to leave.
Yes, I have to run.
So anybody that has to call would have to do so right now. The number to call is 440-7377. If you're calling locally, if you're in the diaspora, it's 347-329-3101. But Ms. Crosby, we are so happy that we could have this conversation. There's one other concern that I want us to touch on quickly, and I know that it has not been brought up as yet. Because we are still looking, we are not sure what the effects of the volcano will be, or the eruption of the volcano will be. But something that normally happens with big eruptions like that is that of acid rain, where you have a mixture of sulfur and nitrous oxide that creates this acid rain. What are our chances, or has NADMA, because I know you're not on the technical side of it, that would be more of a question for the meteorologists, but has NADMA looked at that as a possibility and started formulating a response if something like that were to occur here on our island?
We have not gone there. That would have to be something not even, that would not necessarily be more so met for the rain, but the acid rain, that would have to be UE seismic, because it would be associated directly. So we would have to convene. We continue to work at these threats as they come. And for example, for that one, because we don't want people panicking, thinking that this one is going to start, and minute rain start falling, everybody start running. So let us leave that threat right there for the moment as we continue to analyze the many threats that volcanoes, that this eruption, and as Dr. Robertson said, and this is the bright side of all of this. We here in Grenada would not have ever seen. I don't think we might have had anyone around that would have seen the eruption. Experience of volcanic eruption here. What is happening now in St. Vincent? We had Montserrat a couple of years ago. St. Vincent is even closer to us. It means that there will be many lessons to be learned from this experience, because some of the things that we are seeing from this volcano, we might have never heard of them before. If you don't like this thing, it's not a passion for you and wanting to know more and more and more. For our children, it's a learning experience. For a lot of us adults, it's the same. And let us use it as such an experience where we can learn. There'll be takeaways. And of course, we are better prepared for the hazard, knowing very well that we live on a volcanic island and that the same can happen here. Very little notice. But the good thing, though, is that as they're comparing now this eruption in St. Vincent to the 1902 eruption, where so many people would have died, and that was because of the lack of early warning systems then than we have now. Now, I mean, and I'm happy that is the point that we want to continue to boast of here in St. Vincent. Most of the people were out of the area. I'm not hearing of any casualties or so, which is a plus, because life is always critical. Property, and so, yes, we know that it is an investment, but they can be replaced once there's life. It means that you may have to work a little harder, but with life there's hope, and that is what we want to see, and that is what we want people to take away here, that this hazard, it exists. It also exists here in Grenada, and that we use the experience as a learning one for us.
All right, and that is absolutely the best way to close off this section of this morning's program. Guys, we are going to take a short break, and then we'll be back with more conversation as we allow Ms. Crosby to get back to her busy schedule. But thank you so much for taking the time to come out and speak with us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Guys, we're going to take a short break, and then we will be back. Conversation as we allow Ms. Crosby to get back to her busy schedule.
We decide now to come together and to get a small loan so that this all of us could start with future off.
Handing over of the boats to some young fishermen is not just symbolic, but it has significant socioeconomic impact for the individuals who are receiving the boats, but also for the community. St. Mark is developing as a significant contributor in the fishing industry. And so I'm very happy today that there are 5 young fishermen who have been awarded this soft loan, and they have embraced it and they're ready to go out. I'm happy to see that. It makes a lot of difference in their individual lives, in the lives of their family, and also for our community. And the impact on our country is significant as well.
And I decide now I wanted to go on my own because we have family to take care of, house to build, and other things to do.
To live here every day, mostly every day, and go in Grenville. And I take 3 bus, sometimes I take a little more. Every day you have to do this, but we're thankful, we're grateful for it.
There's a little process that sometimes people find is a bit tedious, but in a loan there are certain requirements that have to be fulfilled. And once you meet those requirements, then you get the loan.
Yeah, well, I will tell them work hard and see how they will get you the same loan to start off, like how we get it to start off.
And recently, I think over 20 young men from this very parish were trained in captaincy of a boat and so on. So all of these are coming nicely together, and the Ministry of Fisheries would have played their role as well in terms of encouraging young people to get into this industry. It's a great industry. We're grateful to those who have gone before, and we are really blessed to see young men coming in now and taking on that.
The Small Business Development Fund, supporting small businesses.
Stay up to date with all that's happening with the new national party, NNP. Send us a message via text or WhatsApp on 405-8683 with your name, email, and constituency. Stay in the know with NNP. Get updated.
All right, guys, and we are back. And with me in studio now, I have my co-host, Mr. Roland Bola. Good morning, Mr. Bola.
Good morning, Ms. Duncan. Friends and listeners, good morning. She abandoned me earlier on.
I did not.
And, sometimes people say, make new friends, keep the old. She asked me to get out of the studio, and then she come running after me. Oh, I need you now, I need you now, I need you now. That does happen sometimes in families, but I won't get into that story. Go, I don't want you here, and then come back. That kind of thing.
But I know you were here for the majority of the conversation, and it was good conversation surrounding the current situation in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. It affects here in Grenada, and how prepared we are to deal with any of the spill-off repercussions of the explosion or the explosive eruption of that volcano. And of course, a list has been shared, and I was trying to find that list somewhere, I think it's NADMA that had it on their page, a list of the direct needs of the people of St. Vincent. I know yesterday a shipment of water went up to St. Vincent, and of course very grateful they are for that, because one of the direct effects of the volcano was the contamination of their water source. So of course they are very grateful for that, and I'm trying my best to find that piece. If somebody sees it, can share it with me, on the direct needs of the people of St. Vincent. They sent out a list. I believe cots were on that list, tanks were on that list, a lot of things that are needed, and we do have to help, because they have been very, very good to us. One of, as Prime Minister said yesterday, one of the first set of people, was it Prime Minister or was it Minister Gawi? One of the first set of people who responded after Ivan was that of St. Vincent. So we have to reciprocate, not just because they have been good to us, but it is the correct thing to do. It is the charitable thing to do. It is the humanitarian thing to do. And I find the list. There we go. No, I didn't find it. It's
Well,
not the list.
they may have a list, an up-to-date list that I have not seen, but I saw a piece that came from the son of the Prime Minister, Camilo Gonzalez, who mentioned that the most important, excuse me, for them is water. As you have correctly said, they had to close down the water system. So people are without water, and he spoke to the fact that from the number of people that they have in shelters, because many of those whom they had to move from the red and orange zone, areas that would be most badly affected, they are in shelters where they are without water, so they have been appealing. They also, in that piece that he did, appealed for products, baby products and so, because you have babies and young children, sanitary stuff for old ladies and elderlies and things like that. They are not going to refuse food stuff, basically tin stuff, packaged stuff that are not going to take much for preparation, because granted that when you're in a shelter or you're bunking out somewhere, you don't have all of the amenities.
Right.
Yes, sometimes you can cook a meal, but it would be a lot easier if you have packaged stuff that probably just need warming or, something like that. So things are along those lines. But of course, I think one of the things too that he mentioned was blankets.
Yeah.
Because he did admit that they probably was a week or two too late in terms of trying to order those stuff to have them at the shelters. So a contingent of the blankets that they're supposed to receive for the shelters had gotten caught up in Miami,
right,
waiting to be released for shipment to St. Vincent. And then because of the volcanic activities and the ash and so, the airport is now closed. So it is difficult, virtually impossible, to fly it in.
Yeah.
So you may have a situation, and that wasn't said. I'm just thinking that where that contingent of blankets may have to be shipped to another island, Caribbean island, where the airspace is still okay, and then maybe be transported by ship, by boat, to St. Vincent. So there are a number of things that can still be done, and as you so correctly said, and I was listening to the beat with Ms. Crosby, it's a natural disaster. It is not something that St. Vincent or the people of St. Vincent created. They didn't create a volcano. Yes? They are in need now. Whether or not, and we are happy that they did, in our time of greatest need after Hurricane Ivan, did stretch a hand of assistance out to us. They stretch across the Caribbean Sea. The same thing that separates us, joins us together, as they say, and gave their help, their assistance, in whatever way they could. I remember in the very early days, shipment of ground provision and all those things was coming in from the Vincentians to keep us going. Today we have an opportunity, as you say, to reciprocate. But even if they did not do for us, I think it is the thing that we all should want to do for each other. Provide assistance, whether it's inland or outside, And there it is. I just wanted to join that, as you said. The volcanic eruption and activities is on the island of St. Vincent. But see how it affects so many other islands, the Barbados, the St. Lucia, Grenada, with deposits of ash and other things. I see that in the same context as the COVID-19, different, but in terms of its transformation from one island to the next, it doesn't take much.
Absolutely.
It doesn't take much. It takes one island in the chain of islands to have an uncontrollable outbreak. And as we have always said, our borders are so porous. We are all small and have a lot of inlets and bays and areas where little vessels can just pull in and someone can come in. I've heard from people, didn't see it myself, but I've had a couple of people who called from since yesterday saying that we already had some people on Facebook and some of the other platforms saying, oh, why they taking the Vincentians? We don't know. There are plenty COVID up there. And next thing, you know, now you're becoming worried because humanitarian gesture is out there. They are human beings like ourselves.
Yeah.
Granted that we have to be safe. Granted that in our efforts to assist them, if we have to take them into our island, we would want to know that they are negative first and foremost, or at least have taken the courses of vaccination. So even if they become positive, the amount of virus, viral load will be much lower and much, all of those things, the Ministry of Health and the officials who are working on the front line with NADMAN so would want to verify and make sure that those things are in place. But it just goes to show, when the authorities have been saying to us, please be careful, continue to obey the protocols, please wear a face mask, wash your hands as regularly as you can, or sanitize them with an alcohol-based sanitizer, keep your distance from large crowds. Once you're out of your home, wear your mask. People are complaining, why we have to do that? We don't have COVID. And the authorities have always been saying, yes, we don't have cases that are rampant in the villages, in the the outer parishes or in the towns, but we don't know when, we don't know who, and we don't know from where.
Yep.
So protection is our best shot, and after that, the vaccine to keep us safe. You're not taking a vaccination because that's going to make Dr. Mitchell get more votes in the next election. You're not taking a vaccination so that the representative in your constituency, wherever you are in your village, would win. You're not taking the vaccination because that is going to get Ms. Duncan or some other person increased salary. You're taking the vaccination to make sure that you protect yourself and that of your family.
Dr. Roberts said something yesterday in his interview, giving an update on the situation in St. Vincent. He said something that really stuck with me, and it can be applied in any grave situation, whether it's a pandemic or that of a natural disaster. It can definitely be applied, and I applied it to COVID-19, and it fits quite nicely in my opinion. And he said, for the persons in the red zones who refuse to evacuate because it's their personal choice, they wanted to stay for whatever reason they wanted to stay, while that might be their personal choice, they are unfairly putting others at risk. And it applies in COVID as well, because while they are there in their homes doing whatever it is that they want to do, they are at risk. And if in the event they are injured and call for help, we cannot say that, as much as people may want to say, oh, well, you choose to stay up there, and whatever happens. They cannot say that. They have to send people in there to try and extract them, to try and get them out, and ultimately putting those persons' lives at risk as well. They didn't ask for that. They were doing what they were supposed to do. They followed their protocol. They did everything that they were supposed to do to keep themselves safe and to keep others safe. But yet there you are talking about your rights and freedoms and your personal choice, putting others inadvertently at risk. And it applies as well with COVID-19 in many different ways, in people not wanting to follow the protocols, in people not seeing why the protocols are there, in people talking about their rights and freedoms as if it supersedes the rights and freedoms of others. It goes in people not wanting to get vaccinated because they believe that in getting vaccinated or not getting vaccinated, it is a personal choice and it only affects them, when in actuality it does not just affect you, because guess what? You not getting vaccinated, and many of you not getting vaccinated, can cause and and very much so an outbreak in Grenada. And then guess what? The people who did get vaccinated, like the nurses and the doctors and so on, who have to now deal with you because you chose not to get vaccinated. They can't say, okay, well, you chose not to get vaccinated, so stay home.
So I choose not to deal with you.
Exactly. It doesn't work like that. They are obligated to assist you. We have a caller on the line. Let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Miss Duncan.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
This is Miss Kami, and good morning to Mr. Bola.
Very good morning to you, Miss
everybody.
Kami. Yes.
Well, a long time I don't call in because because I'm a phone.
Yes.
Anyhow, I have a little message to send out. Miss Duncan, I live in the Bushes area, and I'm calling this morning that Grenadians could hear what I have to say. And I think as a citizen of this country, I need to be at peace in my home. I am 64 years of age, and there is some young people that does give real trouble again. And next issue I have, Miss Duncan, when people have animal and it's dead, they must bury it. I cannot sit in my house or in my veranda to just take a little breeze out. When people have dead animals, they're throwing it around my place, Miss Duncan.
Right.
So I'm begging and I'm pleading. Please, anybody have dead dog, dead cat, dead sheep, bury it.
Or burn it, they can also burn it.
No, and you cannot breathe, you can't have your breath. And it's so sad. I ain't do nobody nothing in Grenada. And I'm begging you all to stop doing them things because God is watching. God is watching what all is doing to me in that Bukeju area.
Very sad. Very sad. It's sad.
I remember, I had my little garden, the regular sheep eat all my things. They give me a lot of wickedness there, Mr. Bola. And I don't do anybody any wrong.
It's sad.
Really
sad.
Not
right. And it's sad to hear what they're doing to you.
Mr. Bola, they stink. And I'm not a well person.
Yeah.
So I'm pleading again. I'm pleading that anybody that have dead animals buried, don't show it on Miss Kami property. I don't get it free. I'm paying the government of Grenada for that lot. I'm paying for it. I'm paying for my house still.
Yes.
That's the reason why I'm out there in all that pain. Pain and I've been pain and I'm coming out to look for Allah. Don't do this mischievousness to me. God is watching, I'm begging and I'm pleading again to those in authority, the Ministry of Health. Go around and speak to the people, please. Have a good day, Grenada. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Ms. Kami. We're very sad to hear what's happening to you, and for those who are engaged or know of people engaged in doing such acts, please speak to them. She's pleading, she's begging for an end to that kind of a thing, and it's not fair. It's not fair living in a community and everyone else thinks that your property is a dump. You know, it's the place where they can unleash all of what is not good for them. They throw it at you. Please, let's live as neighbors. We see what's happening in the world today. It's no secret. We're here today, we could be gone tomorrow, we could be gone later. Let's try to make peace in the world with each other and live good. Live a God-fearing, righteous life, because as she mentioned, God is watching. He's watching all of us. God is watching us. God is watching us. God is watching us from a distance. You know that song?
Yes.
Good.
I think we all know that song.
All right, so let's remember that.
Yeah, but Mr. Bola, it is a very sad situation when we believe that our personal rights and freedoms do not affect other persons as well. You know, and what Mr. Robertson said yesterday really did resonate with me, and it brought back memories of people who are adamant against getting vaccinated because they, for whatever reason, it is. And then it also brings into the foresight something that Ms. Crosby mentioned today as well. With the 1902 eruption, there was a lot of death because they did not have the technology that is used now for the early detection, you know, and it goes right back to the vaccine creation when we had the Spanish flu, when there was all this death, and persons had to wait several years to be vaccinated. It speaks to now where we have so much technology, so much more access to resources, so much more funding for these kind of research as well. And it would explain and has been explained as one of the founding reasons as to why the vaccine was created in such a short period of time. So sometimes we look at these situations isolatedly and we say, well, you can't compare the volcano erupting to COVID-19, and maybe you cannot compare the situation or the occurrence, but there are certain procedures, there are certain morals, there are certain standards that you can take that are similar in these instances. And I'd like for people to look at it in that kind of way.
Well, the appeal has been out not only by us, but even from medical experts and others, saying to people, listen, you don't just sit and listen to what another person says or read something on social media and form an opinion, or, well, not just an opinion, but solidify a position that you would take just based on that. Right. Be open-minded, listen to what everyone has to say, read up on issues, get the facts. And so when you make a decision and you take a position, it is a well-informed decision. It's a decision based on facts. But what we find is that a lot of people who are now vaccine resistant, as they refer to them, or anti-vaccination, they really don't have a lot of factual information and a truthful basis.
Even a solid basis either, because the information always fluctuating from one reason to the next.
To say why not, right? We are going to be helping ourselves, one, in terms of boosting our immune system and making it much more resilient and stronger against the virus. But secondly, we will be doing ourselves a huge favor in that the economic activities of the country can get either restarted or those that have started in a very small way can expand and can grow. And so more of our people can get an opportunity and would get an opportunity to fend on their own and to become their own economically independent, because they now have a job and things like that. So we have to look at all of the intricacies in what is happening. What are we doing? And by the way, I want to shout out our listeners in New York. A couple of them are on the live, saying good morning. Good morning to you as well, because you are part of the HARDTALK family, and we appreciate you being out there and still keeping in tune with what is happening out here, not just in Grenada, but in the region. Yeah. And so, what is happening to St. Vincent and the Grenadines at this point in time is a very sad, and that is happening amidst COVID, in relation to small islands, comparable in size and in economic activities to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They have had a pretty huge number. They have had a pretty bad experience with COVID, which is still very prevalent. So there's COVID on one side, there's La Soufrière erupting and behaving bad. And I even learned that from the eruptions thus for a couple of houses in the red zone, within the red zone. A couple of houses got burnt because of the lava, They were able to catch those homes, and the fire burnt it down. So a lot of unfortunate incidents are happening. The vegetation, whether it's vegetable or tree crops. One person, an eyewitness, in fact, one of the ministers said that it ranged from a couple inches in some parts of the island towards the southern part to a couple of feet of ash in some other places. So imagine that you have a beautiful little vegetable garden and 3 feet of ash is on top of that. that you no longer have any vegetables.
That's more than half of my height, you know.
That's what I'm telling you. So it is a difficult thing for them. And like I said, COVID on one side, lots of free on the other side. And it was only last week the Prime Minister announced, Prime Minister Gonzalez, we have the clip in here, that in a couple of months' time, he's not sure how they will make it to pay public servants, right? So that's a clear indication that the economy is not doing as well as it used to, that the government, in terms of revenue collection, is not collecting as much as it used to, because now they can't see the ways and the means of raising the necessary finances to keep the public sector going, the public service, working. And I'm saying all of that against the backdrop to say that sometimes when, as our footprint would say, when it rains, it pours.
Yeah.
So for us here in Grenada, who are in a slightly, and I don't want to put us too far ahead, we are in a slightly better place and better position in that. One, COVID has not raveled us as badly as it did St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Yes, we have had COVID, but we are still trying our best as a country and as a people, trying our best to stay above things.
Yeah.
Making sure that we are taking care of this COVID issue in the best way possible.
Yeah.
Also, our government is in a position and continue to be able to pay the public servants at the end of every month. So, we are in a slightly better place, and as a result, we have to be considerate. We have to understand that the betterment we have may not be there forever. And so let us not take things for granted.
We have a call on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hi,
everyone.
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Hey, how you guys doing over there?
We're
hanging in there.
Alrighty. I'd like to send out our solidarity or concern or support for our brothers and sisters in St. Vincent. I pray and trust God that they may keep strong. I also would like to applaud our government for all the help that it is offering at this time. And I'd like to say to us as a people, let us open our arms and help and support our Vincentian brothers and sisters as much as we can. It's their turn now. I'm not wishing, I'm not hoping that anything like that should happen to us, but life is like this. You never know what befalls you. It's always good to render aid. So I'm appealing to our people. Let's just, open our arms and help.
Yeah.
Here in New York, the Vincentials already started their campaign, and I myself, I'll try to donate whatever I can, and appeal to other Grenadians also in the diaspora area. Whatever you can donate to the people, because they need it. They need it the times they're going through.
Great.
I like to talk to our teachers back home.
Yeah. Go right ahead.
In my opinion, here is something that you should be taking the streets for, to give support to. These people now have lost everything.
Yes.
You were fighting for something that was promised to you, but on top of that, you were receiving your salary.
Yeah.
And, sorry, not war, you are receiving your salary. So think of it. You're receiving your salary, and your comrades right across the sea, the 88 miles away from you, that's your comrades, that's our brothers and sisters, right now has nothing. As union, as unionists, because I'm a union member myself, and that's what we do. When our brothers and sisters is in trouble, in trauma, any part of the world, we do whatever we can to help them. So I'm appealing to our teachers back home. Now is the time to take the streets, take the lead, and show that you're a true union patriot. You will stand up for your brother and sister any part of the world. Whatever the disaster, whatever it is, come up. I only hope that they would really stand up as true unionists and give support to our brothers and sisters in St. Vincent. Thank you, Brother Bola.
Well, thank you very much for that. I think you couldn't be more correct to make an appeal. And that appeal goes to every single one of us, whether we are on mainland Grenada, Carriacou, or Petit Martinique, or we are in the diaspora, as the gentleman said. Whatever we can do to help, it is just the correct thing to do. It is what, as humans, as a Christian society, it is what is expected of us to help look after whatsoever you do to the least of my brothers, that you do unto me. Yes? And they are our brothers and sisters, and they need us now more than any other time before. We need to stand up, we need to be counted, we need to come forward, press forward, and provide some form of assistance, whatever small you may be able to give. Everyone doesn't have to give the same amount across the board. If I can give 2 or 3 cases of water, doesn't mean that everybody else can do that. You may be able to do 1. There are those who may be able to do 5 or 10. Or, you give 100, I might be able to give 50, or somebody else might be able to give 500. But whatever little you can give, remember the story in the Bible about the widow's mite. Do it with joy in your heart.
Yeah. We have a call on the line. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Miss Duncan.
Good morning.
And good morning to Mr. Bowler.
Good morning to you, sir.
All right, Mr. Bowler, let me start off by saying here, as a country and as a people, let's do all we can to assist our brothers and sisters in St. Vincent in this difficult time. And it is important that those of them who are listening, it's important that they know that in Grenada here, we are standing with them shoulder to shoulder, and I hope that our government will do all within the powers to assist our brothers and sisters next door. Now, Mr. Bola, I almost contacted the police yesterday. Well, this morning, I should say, to inform them that we have a missing person, and the last time they were seen was yesterday evening at some time point, especially when I did not hear you on the radio early this morning.
Well, thank you for your concern.
Yes, sir. Now, Mr. Bola, listen, and Miss Duncan, after listening to the ministers of government and the leader of the party yesterday, I'm convinced that Grenada is in good hands, and the majority of the populace accept that. And politically speaking, our demise could only come from us, and that's complacency. And we must guard against that scenario by all means necessary. I'm saying all of this to say that our only enemy is ourselves.
Yes.
So we must be vigilant and at all times be aware of rumors and false propaganda. Mr. Bola and Miss Duncan, I'm not a bright man, but yesterday I understand what is current expenditure. Yes. What recurrent means. I understand capital expenditure. I understand physical responsibility. I understand what prudent management means.
Yes.
I'm saying all of this to say that no understand what the demise of the nasty demonic counterfeit, how they failed, because they was using money for capital expenditure to meet their recurrent needs.
Yes.
And from an economic standpoint, based on my limited knowledge, that's a recipe for disaster.
Certainly it is.
I trust you all will have a pleasant day.
Well, we thank you for your contribution and do have an enjoyable day likewise. And as you echoed the call, we're just going to repeat that all of us should be willing to stretch a hand out for our brothers and sisters in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And a good morning to those of you who are hooked up on the live from UK. We see you sending us message. We are aware that far and wide people are listening. We thank you for that.
We have a call on the line. Hello, good morning, Mr. Mills.
Good morning, how are you doing?
I'm good, how are you?
Not too bad. So we in Carriacou, if we have to donate water, you have a place in Carriacou we have to donate the water?
Well, of course, I am not sure of who is coordinating where. I know that you have different organizations. So, for example, the Women and Welfare arm of the New National Party, they are on a drive. And I would presume, I don't have that fact, but I would presume that they will be in touch with their colleagues in Carriacou and Petit Martinique as well. They're on a drive to collect water and whatever else people can contribute because, baby formula, baby stuff, sanitary napkins, beddings, and toiletries. Probably even clothing too, because you may have people that most likely left their homes in haste and what have you, and were only able to collect a few pieces of stuff. Depending on how close proximity to the eruption the homes were. I've seen photos with homes where the lava, the very hot stuff fell on homes and they are under blaze. They are burning. So some people may lose that. We understand that animals in the vicinity that they start dying. So.
I was sitting on my step yesterday and I see this white something on top of my foot.
Yes.
And I take my hand and I touch it. It mash up fine.
That's the ash, yes. And it's dangerous, They have sent out a warning saying that as much as possible, if we can avoid it getting in contact with our skins, that's good. They said when you're inside, keep your doors and windows closed. Yes. Of course, you need air, but, you're trying not to breathe in too much of that contaminated stuff. And believe you me, we have no control over it because the wind will take it wherever it wants to go. That's why they refer to these things as natural disasters. It's naturally floating around in the wind. So we just have to be careful, Mr. Mills. I know that there are some other groupings and organizations that are coordinating relief effort. NADMA, I believe, would also be, I don't know, did Ms. Crosby say that this morning?
Yes, they are coordinating.
Right.
They have a drop-off point. She didn't speak about on the Sister Isle of Carriacou and Petit Martinique, but she did speak about Grenada, that they do have their drop-off point at the SSU camp that's down on the...
In Point Celine.
Point Celine,
I heard towards the airport. But there must be a depot. There must be some place in Carriacou. And we'll seek to have that information, Mr. Mills, and pass it on as soon as we can get it.
That would be very nice of you.
Yes, we'll do that. We try to do nice things to nice people like you.
And you go return back to us.
Well, we do believe so. We do believe
so. I listen to you, so if you get any, you go.
We will. We certainly will. And so we thank you for your concern. As we say, whatever it is, as small as it may be, it could even be half case of water, but it's going to help somebody quench their thirst.
Exactly. Yeah.
Definitely so. So have a good one, Mr. Mills.
You too. You all have a great day.
Take good care of yourself.
I will.
Yeah. All right.
Guys, the lines are open. You can contribute to the conversation by calling 440-7377. If you are calling locally, if you're in the diaspora and you want to give us a call, it's 347-329-3101. You can also send us a message via WhatsApp, or you can give us a call via WhatsApp as well to contribute to the conversation. I am still, Mr. Bowler, looking for that list. I think that list is so important, but I had it somewhere.
Well, the list, I guess, will be speaking to what they will refer as the most vital. Mm-hmm. And I think we have already established sufficiently that water is definitely most important and most vital.
And blankets, water,
you know? And then people will give as much more of what they can in terms of the bedding, the blankets, food stuff. While it's not at the top of the list, it is important because people have to eat. I mean, yes, you can fast for a couple of days, but it is necessary for you to give nutrients to your body over a period of time, and so you would have to. We
have a caller on the line. Hello, good morning.
It appears as though we lost that caller.
Yeah, we did lose her. All right, I'm sure she'll call back. Oh, she's already calling back. Good morning, Miss Jacob.
Lord Jesus. We don't know it, Miss Duncan.
How are you this morning, Miss Jacob?
I have a joy on one side and I have a little sad.
Well, tell us about the joy first.
The joy first?
Mm-hmm.
My brother Bola, sweetheart.
How are you doing, my darling?
Baby?
I am well, thank you.
Oh, God, well, I have a little joy on one side and a little sorrow on
Yes. A bittersweet moment, they call it. I say some people say it's a bittersweet moment. A bittersweet moment. And those who are much more educated than you and I, they don't talk about joy and sorrow, bittersweet moment, you know. They say they're having an oxymoron. An oxymoron.
Okay.
Yeah, the same thing it mean, you know, but they just like to use big words.
Yeah. The joy is a wonderful, beautiful, handsome Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, that is Dr. Kit Rowley.
Yes.
Coming on. And I hear his lovely voice and his voice looking. But if I hear Dr. Rowley's voice yesterday,
good.
Well, he look as if I go out to run away from Grenada and run and come and take him and bring him down in Grenada.
No, you could stay up there with him. Why you bringing him down in Grenada? You could stay up there with him. What you bringing him in Grenada for?
And who go see about the other one in Grenada?
Well, we go take care of the other one for you until you come back.
Oh, God. He tell us he coming on nicely.
Good.
Slowly. Coming on. And he promised. I say, yes, you don't promise to send some cabbage and lettuce from Miss Jacob in Grenada that praying for you. Or you're giving those announcers and the air, your cabbage and your...
Yes. But with cabbage or without cabbage, you're going to continue to pray for him and you're going to pray for the people.
I pray for him every day.
And you're praying for the people of St. Vincent as well, eh?
Especially I just come in St. Vincent now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming to St. Vincent. Well, Lord, why? My prayers, all prayers go out for St. Vincent. Dr.
Gonzalez.
Dr. How is his name again?
Gonzalez.
Yes. I have you in my prayers morning, noon, and night. I have you there. But the Lord good to see you through, my brothers. And I wish I could have get, although I don't have much. But the prayers is the most important part, eh?
Yes.
That is the most important.
Once it's done sincerely, prayers can move mountains, they say.
More than mountain too. And I love to think that, Lord, you go to. You go to by the grace of God. You go to. And the other sad part in me. Oh God, brother, something terrible happened in West Hall. Oh God. I have a wonderful brother, so wonderful and nice. Have some sheep. 4 sheep. Oh God. It's terrible, eh? The dog
destroyed them.
The dog destroyed those sheep, but besides the mother had dropped by June, she had also dropped, and she don't dare. The other one, no. It $100 to give the big ship a vaccine. And you know, he don't get the money. He don't get the money and he don't get the ship. It's real terrible.
Very bad.
The thing is again, my dear, I had to keep all my windows closed. And to besides my house door has ceiling, you could just imagine what happening. It have a big dog commanded right in the ravine by me. 10 dogs in Stone Street die.
That's bad.
I'm telling you, it's really bad.
It's bad.
But aside for the guy, aside for both the dogs
Mm-hmm.
and the sheep. But the thing is, I want to tell some of those people not around here, please, when we having dog, don't have 6, 7, and 8 dog. Because no, where see the COVID thing? We had to feed ourselves, not just to feed dogs.
Yes.
And when you have these dogs and then they go out and look for food.
Yes.
Anything they get, they go destroy it. Well, I had some fowls and them in my yard where I hardly see. The fowls in the man, you know. But in the morning, those fowls and they want to come and beat me for the food. I had to make sure I feed the food. Well, what that thing, I'm glad again. I go have my little fowls. The dogs doesn't run it. Do I know dog to run it? A kind of a thing like that. But, oh, God. That scent ain't nice, no?
No.
Because you can't bury it. Or you go take it up, you can take it up and it's a good sized dog. It's a big dog, good stout dog. It's a good sized dog that is in the ravine by me there. If all you know, I stay in the center of the road you come up the hill there, you have to make wrong the road and then you go up in front. So call that a staying in the center of the road. And everybody passing the road. Oh God, Miss Jacob. Oh God, Miss Jacob. Oh, you're making it there, say by the grace of God. Say, please, don't open your window too wide. No, I say, no, but if I open the window, I go dead inside of here. He said, oh God, Miss Jacob, that's said too much. Oh, what we could do? I say, nobody can do nothing because if they go to burn the bush, the whole ridge,
burning
the
out.
whole place burning out.
Yeah, the place is so dry now.
Yes.
Well, Miss Jacob, your weekend wasn't a bright one. I mean, with the exception that your good boy in Trinidad is recovering well.
Is the one that.
Yeah, mostly sadness, but you know what? People like you
I have to take it.
who knows how to pray.
And then,
Yes.
my niece come and bring me food, give me. She send me food, give me.
Yes.
And she tell me she have a puppy because they kill she puppy,
Right.
And she get one nice little puppy, boy. I take the puppy from the little girl, the little child. She say, Bonje, I just see my kissing of the puppy, you know.
You did?
But the puppy is so fat and nice.
Well,
So he can never had a joy.
well, that will bring a little joy to you. So, people like you who knows how to pray, continue to lay your burdens unto the Lord, you see.
Yes, it's that.
Bring them to me.
Pray,
Yes.
pray.
He said, come back to me. And you just go to church still?
No, I didn't go to church.
You didn't go, yeah, but there's a church song. He said, come back to me.
I want to come back to the
Yeah,
Lord.
with all your heart. Yeah?
Yes,
Yeah. Long I have been waiting for your coming home to me.
to me, that is it.
Yeah. So, go home to Jesus, pray to Him.
And I'm going home to Jesus.
Right, and ask Him to help not just us in Grenada, but throughout the region with the COVID, and of course our friends, brothers and sisters in St. Vincent and the Grenadine. Hope that that volcano will not do too much damage to them, and you know, and things like that. Yeah.
And
So,
those things we have in Grenada, even though one bottle of water,
Yes.
for those we have in
Yes. Yes.
I'll drop it off in, they tell me drop it in our boy. You should know my minister.
Yes.
Yes,
So
Minister
you drop it off on the way.
that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And Miss Felix.
Yes.
Wonderful girl.
Good.
God, a lady nice.
Good. So we taking a few more calls from people before we close.
God bless you and Sister Duncan.
You as well. And
keep St. Vincent
yes.
all your praise.
We will.
Okay.
And we hope that this week will be a more happy week for you than last week. Take care.
I'm hoping so.
Yeah.
So, okay, sweetheart, God bless you all and I'll
All right.
Okay, bye-bye.
Yeah.
All right, goodbye.
Well, I don't know. That going to create some controversy, but some people, they what they begging the teachers to do? But the teachers don't have the 4%, so you can ask them to donate it to the Vincentians. They don't have it as yet. They will get it, of course, but they don't have it. So whoever that one on the live that said the teachers in Grenada should donate the 4%, say when they get it.
When they get it.
When they get it.
Someone
yes,
on the live is saying GoFundMe or charity drive Grenada seniors and make a donation to help me ship a 40-foot container filled with medical equipment. Every little bit helps. No amount is too small or too big. And that's coming from someone by the name of John Crow Alexander. Yes, is asking for seniors, I guess, in the U.S. to assist in that.
Getting. Well, it is good. Wherever the drive is, it is good and it is for the benefit of the people.
Yeah. We have a caller on the line. Hello.
Good morning.
Hi. Morning to you. Yes.
Yeah, Mr. Bola, it was a wonderful day yesterday.
It was.
Wonderful.
Well, an afternoon because we weren't there for the whole day.
Yeah,
the
it
afternoon.
was wonderful, man.
Yeah.
Because we got information.
Yes.
And not fake information, real information.
Real information.
Information that could bring progress and development and growth to the country.
Definitely.
Because listen, when you get information and what you get is fake.
Yes.
You can't go forward with fake information.
Yeah.
You can't go forward. You only go forward with information that is true, correct, and right.
Yep.
All right? And I want to say it to the Grenadian people. Yes, we say let's open. But if you want to open the country and let the country come back, much better than we are right now, we have to take the vaccine.
Certainly.
We have to take it. We can't live a double standard life. Yes, we asking to open, but we don't want to take the vaccine. The life don't work so. If you want the country to open, where there is some more normalcy, we have to take the vaccine.
Of course.
All right? So I want to encourage the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Peter Martin. Let us take the vaccine. Let us take it. I mean, something again I heard, like the commission mentioned it yesterday in a general council meeting, which I heard from myself, where in some Saraka, or whatever they call it, Vasali, where two persons were saying and this side saying that, especially the one that was leading in 2008 to 2013, where we said that the government should pay the 4% and close down the airport. And what I said to myself, you see, where a leader has no vision, the people perish.
Will perish, yes.
The people perish. And that's so quite true. And that's what I was saying. If you close the airport, remember there is Grenada overseas. Where will they land? So first the airport open? Well,
they land in St. Vincent and then have to take a boat and come here.
Take a boat and come down.
Well, that's just one suggestion.
That's a suggestion. Right? Because you see, don't know where I do when people talk, it should try to analyze and weigh what they're saying and see if it makes any sense.
Yeah.
Do talk. And then when you talk, what you say, it makes no sense at all. Because sometimes you say something, people understand you, but when they understand what to say, it made no sense. And I do, as leaders and responsible people, we must think about what we want to say before we come and say.
Mm-hmm.
All right? Don't say things, and after you say it, you regret to say it. Think about it first before you come and say it. Because some days to come, people will hold you at what to say.
Yes.
And what to say to people and things that to say and encourage them to do, they will blame you for it.
Yeah.
And let people give people appreciate you for the good things you say to them and the things that will help you help them in to develop their lifestyle. Because I always say as parents, we have to be educators to our children and to our neighbors' children. We have to teach young people things that are positive to help develop them. So tomorrow, please God, they cannot make us a scapegoat. And one more information, Ms. Duncan, I will send that to you on your to our email. The breakfast, the St. John Northwest Executive will be having a breakfast on the 38th of this month by John Shop, which is John Lion Shop. All right, a lot of things will be on sale. Make sure you save enough money, Sabola.
Yeah.
Come and purchase.
But what are you eating for breakfast? Are you not serving that, man? Are you not serving what I eating for breakfast? Are you not serving what I eating for breakfast?
So heavy food for breakfast?
St. John not to provide the best breakfast.
All right.
Remember, Mom Morris?
Well, yeah, but I bread. I don't need bread.
Yes. Tell me, Sabola, Mom Morris is part of Northwest, eh?
Yes. Well, I know the fresh bread, they bake it right in the morning, right by the community center.
Exactly.
I know that. So but that's not what I want for breakfast, man.
Mom was in Northwest, so you know Mom was just supply good breakfast.
Good stuff,
and especially, most of all, at the top, half meal.
All right. I hear you, sir.
Bye-bye later.
Well, you take good care and thank you for your contribution.
All right, Mr. Bola, we are winding down for time. Anybody wanting to make a contribution, to ask a question, to make a statement can do so. Those who have drives that they want to promote for whether it's for water or for other supplies to St. Vincent can send the information to us, post it on our Hard Talk page, and we'll be happy to share that information with the general public. Each one have to help one.
Certainly, Ms. Duncan. There's always going to be a time in life, as independent as we are, as human beings, when something is going to happen that would cause or bring about the need for assistance from someone else. And that doesn't always mean a family member, a relative, a close friend. It could be people from far and wide.
Yeah.
But the Caribbean region is known to be one that values human existence. And our people are always quick to come forward. Yes, you do have a few here and there who would always remember only the negative side, who would always go contrary to what the rest of us thinks or believe. But we respect them still. It is their views. And we say kindly to every Grenadian, let us, from wherever we are, through whatever means, whoever is doing the drive, whatever people are doing, provide something of value for the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. As we have said, the greatest appeal is for water. The whole water system throughout the island is being shut down, and it had to be because of the volcanic eruption. The ash it has contaminated the water system, so I guess all of the storage and thing would have to be cleaned out. And I'm talking now about the pipe-borne water. People who probably had tanks and so with water saved in it, I presume that it is still safe because it was covered up and they will have the opportunity to continue to use it. But, for immediate drinking purpose, and they do have some people in shelter who they had moved from the immediate danger area, they need our assistance. They need foodstuff, they need clothing, they need bedding, they need sanitary napkins, baby formulas, baby stuff. Whatever we can give, whatever we afford to give. And sometimes there are those among us who give only the things we don't want anymore, or the things that are close to expiring, or the things that we have had in the cupboard and with children not eating it, that's all we can give. No. Let's remember in the Bible the story about the widow's mite. That little widow giving the only thing she had. Now, we have to be still clever, and I'm not advocating that if you have only 1 pound of sugar to make a little tea for your own hungry children that you just give it away. No, that's not what I'm advocating. I'm saying that when we give, it must be given with a good, clean heart, understanding that we're making a contribution towards saving the life of another human being. Yes? So it must not be something that was, that thing they in the corner, they long, them children ain't eating that. Let me give them that. No. It must be something of value. It must be something that you take pride in giving, that it comes from heart, from deep within. They need it. They need us. We don't know when, if, or how we may need the help of other people again in the days, weeks, years, and months to come. Yes? So, my friends, as we close for today, I encourage you, please, every one of us, try our best, make a contribution, give something, give some water, give some tin stuff, whatever we can, and let us make the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines happy again, knowing that their brothers and sisters, not just in Grenada, but throughout the islands, do really care about them.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Guys, we've come to the end of our program for today. As we say here every day, in whatever you do and what... Oh, Lord, I want to close them, Mr. Buller, but I see a call coming in. And I feel like...
We can just take it quickly, because we just have a few minutes.
Just a few more minutes.
Before...
Hello, good morning.
Miss Duncan, Miss Cammy here.
Hi, Miss Cammy.
Are you sending things to St. Vincent?
Well, not we personally, but yes, we know the women's arm of the party.
I go back a case of water. Any money I make today, I go back a case of water.
Thank you, Miss Cammy.
So you could pass and pick it up.
Thank you very much. Thank you much.
Any money I make today,
yes,
I'm going to buy a case of water.
Yes.
And I'm going to leave it there so somebody
can pick it up.
Contact with somebody to pick it up.
Yes,
okay.
We will.
Okay, darling?
We will.
Right.
Thank you.
Any money I make today, I go back and get water.
Thank you much.
Have a blessed day. I didn't hear you clearly.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a blessed day, everybody. Bye-bye.
All right, and there we have it, and that is where we bring down the curtains on the on the show for today, guys. It's our responsibility to do what we can to help mankind, especially in their time of need. So whatever you have, whatever little it may be, help someone. You don't know when your blessing and in what form your blessing will come. So give with a willing heart, a willing mind, and you will be blessed. We're closing for today, guys, and whatever you say and whatever you do, be safe and be secure. We always want to be talking with you and never about you. So please do enjoy the remainder of your day and stay tuned for the National Report. It has been a pleasure, guys.
Government collaborates with local stakeholders to provide assistance to Vincentian evacuees. We'll have details to this story and more in the National Report. With the details to the news for Friday, April 9th, 2021, I am Rikisha St. Louis. Following its commitment to accept evacuees from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, government confirmed on Friday that individuals would not arrive at least for a few days, thus giving the authorities ample time to prepare. It is not yet confirmed that Grenada will actually receive evacuees, as persons would have to indicate their choice of location based on the offers of assistance that have been presented to the government and the people of St. Vincent. Minister with responsibility for disaster management, Senator the Honorable Winston Garwe, said Grenada is awaiting word from the government of St. Vincent on the actual number of residents who are interested in being evacuated to Grenada. In the past 24 hours, Senator Garwe has chaired 2 meetings of the National Emergency Advisory Committee to discuss preparations, and on Friday, a press conference was held to update the nation.
The process to get people here is somewhat lengthy, but given that we as a nation have a requirement as it relates to the COVID protocols, and also the cruise liners that have provided assistance to evacuate the evacuees have their own protocols. Evacuees will have to receive at least 1 dose of the vaccine. The rapid antigen test will have to be administered. And of course, the government will have to do their own survey, as they've said, to ascertain from evacuees, potential evacuees, as to the countries they will like to be evacuated to. So that being said, we are ready. We make the necessary arrangement, and we have continued to make that commitment. And they will get back to us to say when. But as we have established, it will not be in a week's time.
Minister Garwe said, as one Caribbean people, it is important that we extend a helping hand when our brothers and sisters are in need.
We observe that whenever there is a crisis, it helps to galvanize support within the nation, and is an opportunity for us to recognize the challenges that we face as a nation. And it's something that you didn't probably cater for, but now you're called to lend a hand to your brother and sister who is in need. And this is a moment for us to recognize we have been given an opportunity to extend a hand of comfort, a hand of love, a hand of safety to our brothers and sisters in St. Vincent. And let us embrace this moment and do what we are known for, to demonstrate the Grenadian hospitality to brothers and sisters who are displaced.
Meanwhile, the National Disaster Management Agency, NADMA, has received from its sister agency in St. Vincent and the Grenadines a list of items that is needed to provide relief during the volcanic emergency. It includes 801,000-gallon water tanks, buckets, folding cots, portable potties, blankets, field tents, field kitchen, sleeping mats, respirator mask with filter, goggles, reflective vests, caution tape, and hygiene kits. National Disaster Coordinator Benedict Peters made a clarion call for Grenadians to assist in whatever way possible. He said NADMA will review its own supplies to determine what items can be shared with the neighboring island.
NADMA is also will provide some assistance. We have asked Mr. Maxwin, who is in charge of the warehouse, so identified items that could be part of that whole process. But we are asking the public, the general public, to come in the need of our brothers and sisters in St. Vincent who has suffered that natural event that has caused a level of discomfort and displacement. And we will be working along with our stakeholders in Grenada to coordinate an effort to ensure that they go through that period of distress in the best way they can.
As Grenada makes preparations to accommodate evacuees from neighboring St. Vincent and the Grenadines, if the need arises, government is assuring the public that there will be strict adherence to the COVID-19 protocols for arriving persons. The COVID-19 subcommittee has underscored the need for Grenada to remain vigilant, even as it moves to provide assistance to the government and people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Vincentian Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has assured Grenada's Prime Minister, Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell, that evacuees will at least be given the first dose of the COVID-19 vaccine and will be tested prior to their departure. Dr. Bert Brathwaite of the COVID-19 subcommittee said Friday evacuees will also be rapid tested upon arrival in Grenada and will be required to quarantine.
The intention of the Ministry of Health is to have all individuals. It's going to be important for any individuals who come in to go to certain centers to be quarantined first, where they will have first rapid antigen tests, and that those rapid antigen tests allow and result within a few minutes, and then they'll be subjected to PCR testing, and that takes a bit longer. Obviously, the samples have to be sent. If the individuals come into Carriacou, the samples have to be sent to Grenada, so it takes longer to get the results. Meanwhile, we obviously have to look after their well-being wherever they're situated. So to have them tested, to obviously one has to help with the emotional state as well, because it cannot be easy leaving your home, leaving everything, all your possessions in many cases, especially those who are closest to the center of the volcano, I would sense, and having to be dislocated and find yourself in another place. So that testing is going to go on.
The humanitarian effort by Grenada to assist the people of St. Vincent comes with the accompanying risk of transmitting COVID-19. According to Dr. Brathwaite, measures will also be implemented to protect healthcare officials and other workers who may come in direct contact with the evacuees.
All those individuals who are involved in care of people should themselves seek to get vaccinated. That is very important. Now, when you get vaccinated, that does not mean that you're protected immediately. It's going to take some 3 weeks or so for your antibody levels to build up to afford you some measure of protection. That's not full protection. Full protection is when you have had 2 shots of the vaccine. But it becomes more incumbent on individuals who are working with the process, and indeed the public as a whole, because in a situation like this, there's increased risk of transmission of COVID, especially as we reflect on how people have been behaving in recent days and weeks and over the last weekend. It might be a time to make people pause and pull back a bit, stop the lot of partying, because you're going to be even more at risk.
This is the National Report. The news will continue after the break. Welcome back. The Royal Grenada Police Force has augmented its resources stationed on the sister islands in response to the unfolding situation in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Deputy Commissioner of Police Michael Francois said Friday the additional officers will be strategically deployed to better control the country's borders and deter illegal entry. With traditionally close ties between the sister isles and St. Vincent and the Grenadines, there is concern that the volcanic eruption and evacuation order may influence persons to attempt to enter the country illegally. Deputy Commissioner of Police Francois encouraged persons to make use of the authorized mechanism for entry that has been finalized between the governments of Grenada and St. Vincent.
We are now in a state of alert with respect to monitoring activities not only in Carriacou and Petit Martinique but on the mainland in Grenada, because we would have adopted a two-pronged approach. As you are aware, we have persons who are coming into Grenada in response to the invitation of the Grenada government, which would be on one hand, and then we have several persons who want to use the opportunity
to engage in illegal activity.
Grenadians are also urged to remain vigilant during this period.
Our plan caters for this, and we have increased several of our patrols, not only around Grenada, but we would have had Coast Guard assets stationed at Petit Martinique and Carriacou and in the waters of Grenada. And we will be vigilant. At the same time, in response to COVID-19, we have our curfew on at midnight. So it's a lot of work, and we would want to appeal to the Grenadian population that any activity that they see that seems to be illegal, and we're not speaking about the government-approved process of bringing in people into Grenada, we're looking at persons who are coming in illegally, and those who want to engage in illegal activity, to please notify the police so we can have a proper response in this regard.
Finally, in the news, Grenada on Friday received 24,000 Oxford AstraZeneca vaccines, which have been provided through the COVAX facility. Minister for Health and Social Security, Honorable Nicholas Steele, Permanent Secretary with responsibility for hospital and community health services, Hannah Julian St. Paul, Manager of the Grenada Expanded Program on Immunization, Nurse Audrey Lyons, U.S. Charged Affairs Carl Duckworth, and PAHO's Country Program Specialist in Grenada, Fiona Anthony, were among the team of officials at the Maurice Bishop International Airport when the vaccines arrived. The vaccines came via an Amerijet flight. The additional doses of the vaccine, Honorable Nicholas Steele says, is further testimony that the government is doing its part to ensure that vaccines are available for the people so that the road to economic recovery can be near.
We have fragile economies, fragile health systems. We cannot afford to take for granted the risk that we still have. There still is a clear and present danger and risk of COVID-19. We need to prepare ourselves as best as possible for whatever will come. And that is, like in all other aspects, being vaccinated.
The GIS will bring you a full report during Monday's edition of the National Report. That story just ended the National Report for today, Friday, April 9th. Let's recap the top story. Government collaborates with the local stakeholders to provide assistance to Vincentian evacuees. On behalf of the entire news and production team, I am Rikisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.